it's incredible! Bang on target!
It's 12:02 midday. This is Pan-African News on Pan-African Television. My name is Abena, Dede. Now to our headlines. Day 3 of the 2020 election petition hearing has been adjourned to 26 January 2020. We will be hearing from the counsels of the petitioner and the second respondent. Prior to this, my colleague Greg Amwa is on the field. He is at the Supreme Court, and then he'll be giving us update with regards to whatever that took place or whatever that went on today at the Supreme Court. Also coming up, Mahama's 12 interrogatories are mere application, lawyer Fatau. Ghanaians react to new ministerial appointment. The information rich in Pan-African News is that the former Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Yunusa Husseini's house, has been surrounded by armed police officers, and it's believed they are without an arrest warrant, which is causing some commotion at the lawmaker's residence. We'll keep our we'll keep our viewers updated. Now ahead in business, FDA tightens measures to prevent importation of unregistered goods. And on our international front, USA soldier arrested in plot to blow up NYC 9/11 memorial. We bring you details of these stories and some sports, entertainment, and more on our international front. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying. You are watching Pan-African News on Pan-African Television. We are live across 46 African countries and some part of Europe. We are also live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. Now the news in detail. Information rich in Pan-African News is the former Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Yunusa Husseini's house, has been surrounded by armed police personnel, and it's believed they are there without arrest warrants, which is causing commotion in the house, and we'll keep our viewers updated to that. Now, today's hearing was centered on a motion filed by Mr. Mahama to have his lawyers inspect documents in the custody of the Electoral Commission, AC. Meanwhile, the case has been adjourned to the 26th of January 2021, which is next week, Tuesday. Let's go and watch the video.
The timeline that is provided for us to have witness statements, does not seem to be justified.
But Mr. Chikwata, you know about CI 99 and its schedule. That's the 2016 law.
I do know about the schedule provided, but I also know that your lordships are here to administer justice, and that justice must not be sacrificed for expedition.
The petition is hereby adjourned to Tuesday, the 26th of January 2021 for hearing.
We are grateful to the court.
Meanwhile, the NPP Council has been speaking with the press.
That we had been ordered to all file. So at the end of the day, the court came back and read the memoranda of issues. 5 issues have been set down for the trial and determination of this petition. I'm confident that in the short course of time, you'll be apprised with the issues that have been set down. The court has also given an elaborate time for the hearing of the petition in strict conformity with the CI 99. So we are all supposed to be back on the 26th of January, that is Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, for the hearing of the petition to commence in earnest. It is instructive to let you all know that the 3 issues that we set down as our memorandum of issues have been incorporated largely in the issues set down by the court. Now the court has also set down for legal arguments, a preliminary legal argument, whether or not the petition discloses any reasonable course of action. Indeed, in second respondent's answer, that matter was raised by the second respondent's legal team as a matter which should be considered by the Supreme Court, and that has been set down for preliminary legal argument. When the decision and the rulings of the court was read, lead counsel for the petitioner raised the matter as to the filing of the application for review. But that was sharply responded to by Professor Ashi Kote, Justice of the Supreme Court. We all know as lawyers that the filing of an application for review does not operate as a stay of proceedings of the matter in court. Well, the return date for that application is tomorrow, the 15th. It's tomorrow. We will be in court tomorrow for that application to be heard. So yes, that is what transpired in court this morning. I don't understand what that submission is supposed to mean. They always are the first to make those submissions, but that submission has no place in law. As petitioners, they should have known that CI 99 governs these proceedings. And CI 99 has been in place since 2016. When did they realize about expedition, delay, and justice? Of course, expedition is justice. You don't come to court with a set of rules and you want to circumvent and obviate the rules by your own careless abandon. How do you come to court with a petition and you don't know that you have to file a witness statement? You don't know that you have to settle a memorandum of issues? I don't understand what is meant by sacrificing justice on the altar of expedition. Justice delayed is justice denied. So what is it? They are just not ready. It should tell all of you. They were advocating for a live broadcast of the proceedings. Not averse to it. Everybody is seeing what is happening in the Supreme Court. Every single day, lead counsel for the petitioner has one complaint or the other. You cannot blame the failure of a bad farm on your tools of implementation. Your farm is your farm, and it depends on how you cultivate it. So we should also not pander to this repeated rhetoric of sacrificing justice for expedition. It is the main reason that the election petition of 2013 delayed for 8 grueling months in court. Are they anticipating the same thing? I believe not.
That was Frank Davis, who is a member of the NPP legal team, and Marita Brew, NDC member of the legal team, also spoke with the media.
Okay. All right. Good morning, Council, thank you very much. Give us your reaction to the court's ruling today.
Well, we are quite shocked because we are here for pre-trial, for case management, and for those who've been in court, we know what case management is. Case management is a discussion between the parties and the court as to how the trial is going to proceed. Today, that's not what happened. We were told what is going to happen. There was no discussion as to what our views were on how the case should proceed. So we are quite shocked.
We understand tomorrow is the day you will come and argue your case out.
No, that's not the case. What the court said was that we file our witness statements by tomorrow, by 12 tomorrow. Now, that means we have just 1 day to prepare the witness statements. Now, you are all aware already that we had an application for interrogatories. We've served them with notice to admit facts. We've served them with notice to actually inspect documents. All those things have not been attended to. We have actually filed an application for review of their order yesterday relating to their refusal to grant us leave to serve the interrogatories. That has actually been fixed for the 28th. Now, all those things will have an impact on the kind of witness statement we will prepare and file. So if those issues have not been dealt with, those applications have not been dealt with, how do we file witness statements by close of business on the 21st? For us, it's shocking. It really doesn't make sense to us as lawyers who've been practicing in the courts for so many years. And we know what the rules are. We know what the rules are.
Counsel for the second respondents think that they're not well prepared for this trial. They seem to raise objections to everything the court raises.
And every objection that we've raised is grounded in law and is justified. I'm sure you are all witness to the arguments made by lead counsel yesterday. Did those arguments sound like they were just a ploy to delay the case? They were grounded in law. The fact that the petitioner has interrogatories to serve on the respondents. Now, interrogatories, as he stated, are to aid the trial of the case. And indeed, if a petitioner who has, or an applicant who has good grounds for serving interrogatories is denied the opportunity, for us that's a denial of justice.
In terms of the timelines that have been imposed, I mean, as it stands now, that is the timelines you all have to work with. I mean, is it something that you will be able to meet? And in terms of your case, you are the ones who have brought the petition to court. What does it mean for putting together a solid case to put across your points?
Now, let no one say we are not prepared. If we are not prepared, we wouldn't have come to court. We wouldn't have filed the petition in the first place. All we are saying is that processes we have served, processes we have filed, processes that need to be dealt with have not been dealt with. How do we start a trial? That is all we are saying. So if you ask us to come to court on the 26th to commence a trial, how are we going to start a trial when our notice to admit facts has not been dealt with? Our interrogatories, our application for review of interrogatories has been pushed to a date after the trial has started. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to us. Unfortunately, we have to say this.
Given your experience at the bar and with the experience of the 2013 petition,
yes,
and the position you are now in, do you think that the 42-day timeline is realistic enough for you to conduct an election petition?
Please note that under the rules, the schedule, there's 5 days for pre-trial. Today is the second day.
So what's the rush for?
So what is the rush? Today is the second day for pre-trial.
5 issues have been set down for trial. What do you mean?
Well, we are yet to, I mean,
Serve the order.
We are yet to be served the order. We are now going to look at, because it was just read to us. We need to now sit down and look at it. Did it, because we have also filed our memorandum of issues. Does it take care of all the issues we put before the court? Because that would have been the essence of case management. The parties going back and forth on the various issues they filed and the court bringing it together so that we are all agreed on the issues. That didn't happen. So we are now going to look at it to see whether it addresses the issues that we have raised in our memorandum.
Counsel, your colleague, Dr. Ayeni, was remanded by the court for certain gestures. What response to that?
Doc, you do that.
Doc apologized, and I think that should end it. He's a gentleman. I don't think he'll ever be deliberately rude to the court. The court took offense.
Now, during the second hearing of the case yesterday, the Supreme Court dismissed a motion by former President John Dramani Mahama seeking permission to elicit answers to some 12 interrogatories from the Electoral Commission. Now, today's petition was centered on a motion filed by Mr. Mahama to have his lawyers inspect some documents in the custody of the Electoral Commission. Meanwhile, the case has been adjourned to 26th of January 2021, which is next week, Tuesday. My colleague Greg Amwa was at the Supreme Court, and he brings us the very latest. Greg, if you can hear me, good afternoon. Welcome to Pan-African News. Hello, Greg.
Good afternoon.
Okay, Greg, you were at the Supreme Court this morning. Kindly take us through the process today.
Okay, so this morning, the lawyers for the petition, Mr. Sachu Chikata, found a document at the Supreme Court for a request to inspect documents. Now, he later 6 documents that he wanted the court to allow the GT to submit these documents for the petitioner to go through this document. Now, I'll take you documents.
Please.
Now, he wanted the original of the constituency presidential election results condition from 9 for all constituencies in Ghana. 2, he wanted the original for the constituency presidential election results summary sheet from 10 for all constituencies in Ghana. 3, he wanted the original for the regional presidential election coalition forms from 11 for all regions in Ghana. 4, the original for the regional presidential election results summary sheet from 12 for all regions in Ghana. 5, the original of the declaration of the presidential results from 13. And then 6, the record of the annexed added to the purported declaration of presidential 9 December 2020 of the result of 4 constituencies in the Greater Accra region. Okay. So this was the motion or the request filed in court earlier today by the lawyer for the petitioner. But then the court again today threw that case out because they insisted that that didn't fall within the threshold of the CI 99. The court said that the is going by adjudicating this case. So the case was being thrown out today by the Supreme Court of Ghana.
Okay. Greg, thank you so much for your time. Right, so that was Greg Amwa, our reporter who was live at the Supreme Court today. He was giving us updates with whatever that happened today at the Supreme Court. But we promise to bring you live coverage next week, Tuesday. Whatever that happens in the Supreme Court, you'll be watching it live here on Pan-African Television. Now, moving on to some other stories. A private legal practitioner, lawyer Abdul Fattah Will Hassan, has expressed his displeasure about Supreme Court's inability to grant the election petitioner his interrogatories, having granted the current second respondent, who was the petitioner in the 2012-2013 election, same application. According to lawyer Fattah, the said interrogatories are mere application containing same argument available in the 2012-2013 petition, which was granted by the Supreme Court. Now, he made the submission on Hot News Show, hosted by Justice Appiah on Pan-African Television.
Luminary Chachikata was once again on his feet. He stood for that length of time, trying to move the motion. And so, when the court starts, and then Chief Justice gave Chachikata, the legal luminary, the opportunity to move his motion. You know, once you file a motion and you are given the date, it was filed yesterday, he was given the date today to move it. So he was on his feet to move it. Then he started with the motion, and then it was a mere application for interrogatories. Usually it's usually granted in a given way.
Are interrogatories normal practice in court?
Very, very normal. Is regulated by the High Court Civil Procedure Rules, Order 22. Usually it's done, it's a process of trying to get documentary evidence. You understand? And it helps in resolving matters is one of the ways that you can help to narrow issues down for trial. So that they're like questions. So almost all the interrogatories are framed in the form of questions. And so when the questions are asked, then the one that it is directed at, that the respondent now replies to the questions, and that would give clarity to the issues that may not be that clear.
Okay.
And it's been the practice. When you look at the 2012-2013 election petition, the petitioner then, who is currently the second respondent, filed an application for same interrogatories. And then it was granted. And some of the arguments that are being made today were arguments that were made in opposition to the application that was filed then. But nonetheless, the Supreme Court went ahead and granted that application. And they were given the opportunity to be given those answers to those interrogatories they filed. And so I was surprised that at this point it wasn't granted. In fact, I thought it was not going to be an issue at all at the Supreme Court.
For the purposes of our viewers, what are interrogatories?
So like I said, so it's from the word to interrogate.
Interrogate, okay.
So,
so you could say that those were questions, about some 12 questions.
So remember, the whole issue started with the filing of a petition on the 30th.
Okay.
You understand? And then there were answers. In fact, first the respondents filed appearance. And so first respondent, second respondent, they all filed their appearances. And then they filed their answers to the petition. And so now the petitioner, having looked at the answers filed by the two respondents, came to the conclusion that no, there are still some questions that I will need from these people, especially from the first respondent, that's the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
And so he put these questions down. So those are the interrogatories. But the rules of court demand that you seek for leave. You remember, certain issues happened today, but those ones didn't have to come by way of motion. Like request for admission of facts, or you understand, or certain mistakes, and then for inspection of certain documents. Those processes were also filed. But because those don't have to do with moving of motions, people will normally not get it in the normal court days activities. So the motion was filed. So they were just seeking for certain answers from the Electoral Commission. And these answers, when they are given, for all you know, when they are given, some of the delays that will come during cross-examination, some of the delays that will come during the main trial will be cut off. And they are normally given.
Now moving on, a retired appeal court judge, Justice Isaac Delali, has roundly condemned the carnage and violence which characterized the last year's general election. In a conversation with Chrissy Pratt Jr. on Pan-African Television's Talk Time, he further called for those found culpable to be dealt with lawfully and penalized severely in a bid to deter others.
Surfaced in Ghana. I mean, the last elections, December 7th, 8 people were left dead.
It's as unfortunate as it is unpredictable. And I think every well-meaning Ghanaian should condemn it roundly. And as much as possible, the perpetrators should be brought to book. If investigations show that those deaths were undeserved. Otherwise, everybody should condemn it, and those who have perpetrated it should be punished like the one, is it Kola? Is being, at least he's facing the law right now, and his likes in the other parts of the country should also be exposed and to face the law. Once that is done, the opacity and the darkness in which these kinds of things are done will become a prohibitive factor for people who will want to engage in those kinds of political misconduct.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has charged some former ministers to maintain their positions pending on appointment and subsequent approval of new ministers for his second term in office. In an interaction with Pan-African News on President's decision, some Ghanaians have expressed mixed reactions on the ministerial positions. While some section of Ghanaians are happy with the decision of the President, others also believe new appointments would have been better.
Formation, he has doing well because whatever formation we needed, whatever information, you bring it out and we see that he's doing well. He can talk about the things wherever by the covering like this, he's talking very well about it. He shows us this and this, and we know that he's doing well. So after him, there we realize that he's doing well. So his best minister so far. Yes, he should be retained. He should be retained. After him, there need to be retained. Oh, some of the ministers we don't hear about it. We don't know whatever they are doing. Because because or creating one ministers are creating here. I'm ministers are creating here. And never said don't see the way you pass it. Where about where I say where all chairman were gone. So one chairman. That is a Tom Kaka way. You are talking. You are Tom Kaka unnecessary. You are going to say about your task chairman. They are the way. They are the nobody say one I say you want we are comfort. We are comfort.
The minister that has performed should be maintained. I think the Minister of Health has done his job. And if he is maintained, it will help the government.
What makes you think he has worked?
That's what I'm saying. Minister of Health. But the Minister of Education, I think he's a businessman. He's not educationalist. And then Minister of Communication, he also has tried his best as a young man. I think he also trying his best. By the Ministry of Sanitation, the government should strike it out.
Meanwhile, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has reduced the number of ministries in his second term from 36 to 29. According to reports, the number of ministers, deputy ministers and regional ministers to be appointed will not exceed 85. Director of Communication at the Presidency, Eugene Ayen, in an interview indicated that the list of qualified Ghanaians who will serve as ministers and deputy ministers in President Akufo-Addo's second term will be released this week as soon as Parliament constitutes its appointment committee. He said the list, which will be printed on green sheets in the form of a statement, would contain a mixture of both old and new ministers, but the number would certainly not go beyond 85, as against the 126 in the first term. Mr. Ayen added that the list would exclude former MPs who were appointed ministers or deputy ministers but who could not secure re-election in the 2020 parliamentary elections. He said those people had automatically lost the opportunity to be appointed again to any ministerial position. Meanwhile, the president has made new acting appointments to his office for his second term, who shall undertake their duties in acting capacities subject to consultation with the yet to be constituted Council of State. The latest appointment by the president was announced in a press release signed by Eugene Ayen, who has been retained as Director of Communications. The list has some of the old appointees in the president's first term retaining their positions, with some new faces brought on board.
Still on the local front, Director of Programs for the Sandulos Advanced Leadership Training Institute, Dr. Ruben Mauli Kofi, has opined that the nation needs young people with good virtues to build. Speaking in an interview on Pan-African Television's Youth Empowerment Show, the leadership coach cited the analogy of Great Walls of China and how it could not serve its purpose because of the people's unfortified character. In connection, he added that it's impossible to forge forward as a country with citizens of nation-building character.
Simple analogy before I come to your question. History has it that when the Chinese built the wall, the Great Wall of China, which was impenetrable, nobody could actually scale that wall and attack the Chinese. When the first 100 years of their existence, they were invaded 3 times.
With the wall.
With the wall. Now, how did they do that? You see, they built a fortified wall. But what did the invaders do? They brought the guards.
Okay.
They brought the guards.
Okay.
So it took the Chinese some time to realize that you can build a fortified wall, but until you build a fortified character, you have put effort down the drain.
That's powerful.
Yeah, you have put effort. So the Chinese reinvented themselves very quickly. So that is how the wall became just a monument. You have to build the character of people if you are looking into the future. So for young people today, the future belongs to them.
Yes.
We can never survive as a nation, as a continent, if we do not have young people who have that mindset, but above all, that have the character. It defines whether you fail or you succeed as nations and as individuals. So this is the space for young people. But it is important for young people to come into this space with a goal, that we will build a character that would transform our society, our communities, and our nation.
Now let's go to the Ashanti region. A police officer, Lance Corporal Martin Baba, who was on escort duties for the Dunkwa branch of Ghana Commercial Bank bullion van, has reportedly been shot dead on Tuesday morning on the Adansi Formina Road in the Ashanti region after armed men attacked the vehicle. The robbers reportedly made away with the amount of 500,000 Ghana cedis, which was in the bullion van, and one AK-47 assault rifle.
Situational reports on the incident described it as robbery and murder and mentioned the date as of January 19, 2021. It is said to have happened at about 10:30 a.m. at Adansi Nyankomaso in the Ashanti region. Lance Corporal Martin Baba was reportedly shot in the car and died on the spot. The report said about 10 young men unmasked wielding assorted guns, including AK-47 rifles, attacked and robbed a white bullion van with registration number GT54319 from Ghana Commercial Bank, Dunkwa to New Edubiase, fired indiscriminately from the rear and facing the van. The robbers attacked the van on the section of the road between Obuasi and Adansi Asokwa Junction at the outskirts of Adansi Nyankomaso community and made away with 500,000 Ghana cedis. Lance Corporal Martin Baba of Dunkwa Police was on board the said vehicle on escort and was reportedly shot by the robbers on the left, leading to his death on the spot. The van was being driven by Eric Amoa, 37 years, and Emmanuel Boatin, 33 years, also an escort. Both men are personnel of the Delta Security Services. The 2 private security men did not sustain injury. The driver reportedly handed over the keys to the robbers to have access to the money in the van upon demand. The robbers, after killing the said police escort, took away his AK-47 rifle number 641111 with 20 rounds.
Now wrapping up on our local front, today marks the 48th anniversary of Amilcar Cabral's assassination. Our political desk takes an insightful look at the Bissau-Guinean revolutionary and one of Africa's foremost anti-colonial heroes.
Amilcar Lopes da Costa Cabral was born in the Bissau-Guinean city of Bafata on September 12, 1924 to Cape Verdean parents. He attended secondary school in Cape Verde, enrolled at the School of Agronomy, University of Lisbon for his tertiary education, and graduated in 1950. The poet, intellectual, theoretician, agronomist, and Pan-Africanist who was deeply influenced by Marxism, became an inspiration to revolutionary socialist and national independence movements across the globe. Nicknamed Abel Jassy for his revolutionary fervor, he led nationalist movements in Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau against Portuguese colonial rule. He founded the African Party for the Independence of Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau, with 5 associates on September 19, 1956 and co-founded the People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola on December 10, 1956 with Agostinho Antonio Neto. After a tireless and unyielding struggle against Portuguese colonial rule, he swallowed an assassin's bullet on January 20, 1973 in the Guinean capital, Conakry.
To the business news segment. In our first story, President of the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association, Michael Nyako Ampim, has hinted that the current hike in egg prices is as a result of increment in the prices of maize and soya beans. Speaking to Pan-African News, Mr. Nyako Ampim explained that since maize forms about 70% of the poultry feed, its increment automatically affects prices of eggs. Currently, a crate of egg, which was sold at 18 Ghana cedis, is now sold at 20 and 25 Ghana cedis.
The prices of the maize shot up. The cost of feed, which is the main ingredient for the egg production, also went up. And if it goes up, the farmer is in business for profit. So the farmer also wants to increase his or her prices. So naturally, as a result or as a consequence of the increase in feed prices or natural increase in maize prices, maize, which is constitutes about 60% of the total cost of production, goes up, then naturally the price of eggs, which is the final product, will also go up. Because I keep talking about maize, but let me also chip in this. The price of soybean meal have also gone up. Something that we used to buy, the 50 kg we used to buy at about 32 cedis is now selling about 180 cedis. And 180 cedis per 50 kg. So the dynamics of the business demands that you increase prices. So that's what has happened to eggs. You see, we are not in a controlled economy. That's one of the things which we understand. We are not in a controlled economy. And in a free market, prices are determined by people who are buying and people who are selling. That's how come I cannot say that I'm selling my eggs at 100 cedis. If I decide to sell my eggs at 100 cedis, people may choose not to buy. Probably I have 1 or 2 people who are ready to pay 100 cedis, so they will pay 100 cedis. But generally, the free market, I believe that the same way that the indices in the market are playing in terms of the maize prices and the feed prices and the soya prices, when all those things begin to change, I believe that farmers, when they begin to see reduced prices, will begin to, because if your eggs are piling up, and eggs are perishable, so if you see them piling up, you'll be forced to reduce your prices. And when you reduce your prices, then naturally the one who sells one at 150 pesos, he or she will also be getting it lower. Now, if you don't reduce it, then the person who is getting it cheaper will outsmart you and sell and your eggs will sit. The other side that we must also be conscious of is that people have bought eggs at a certain price. So assuming you are buying eggs at say 15 cedis, 18 cedis, and you are now buying a crate of egg for about 25 cedis, the person will want to empty that stock before they will, assuming the dynamics have changed. That person cannot come below and make a loss unless there's a flood on the market.
The Food and Drugs Authority of Ghana says from February 1, 2021, it will begin the strict enforcement and registration of activities on imports before clearance at the country's ports. According to the head of Imports and Exports Control Division of the FDA, Emmanuel Yakwatin, this has been identified by the authority as the most effective way of ridding Ghana's market of unregistered and potentially unwholesome products.
Mr. Emmanuel Kwatin said the Food and Drugs Authority advises importers who intend to bring in FDA-regulated products like food, household chemicals, medicines, medical devices, and cosmetics to commence registration processes prior to the importation of these items. Emmanuel Kwatin said it is important to do this in a timely fashion because the FDA's processes are very elaborate. He also advised importers to make use of the electronic means of application through the integrated customs management system so as to reduce human interactions. Emmanuel Kwatin said the Foods and Drugs Authority of Ghana has made significant efforts to reduce the cost of registration by 80% to encourage compliance, and thus traders' excuse of cost would not be condoned. He said a risk-based approach is currently being used in the assessment of products, which has halved the initial duration used in processing registration. The head of Import and Export Control Division at the Food and Drugs Authority warned that importers who fail to register FDA-regulated products before clearance will face the consequences of repatriation of their goods at their own cost, as well as pay an administrative fine. He said the FDA has observed that unregistered goods cleared under detention of consignees, warehouses intended for registration before release on the market has proven to be ineffective, as these unregistered goods find their way on the market. He explained that the clearance and the detention practice was a means to rid the ports of congestion due to the large volumes, while giving importers the opportunity to register products. However, the FDA representative emphasized that now registration will be a prerequisite for clearance at the ports. Also participating in the discourse, a senior revenue officer of the Customs Laboratory in Tema, Roger Nana Otu Gardner, affirmed the continued support for customs to ensure that regulated and registered products are not cleared at the ports of Ghana.
Now let's look at the interbank cedi performance against some major currencies. Now, as at 19th January 2021, the dollar is buying at 5.757 and selling at 5.763. The pounds is buying at 7.839 and selling at 7.847. The euro is now buying at 6.979 and selling at 6.986. Naira 65.925 and selling at 66.376. The CFA is buying at 93.891 and selling at 93.984. The source is from the Bank of Ghana. That's all for the business. International news is next. Now, with some happenings outside Ghana, authorities have said a U.S. Army soldier was arrested Tuesday in Georgia in terrorism charges after he spoke online about plots to blow up New York City 9/11 Memorial and other landmarks and attack U.S. soldiers in the Middle East.
Cole James Bridges of Stowe, Ohio, was in custody on charges of attempted material support of a terrorist organization, the Islamic State Group, and attempted murder of a military member, said Nicholas Beers, a spokesperson for Manhattan federal prosecutors. The 20-year-old soldier was also known as Cole Gonzalez, was with the 3rd Infantry Division out of Fort Stewart, Georgia, when he thought he was communicating with the Islamic State online about the terrorism plot, Bias said. Unbeknownst to Bridges, an FBI employee was in on the chat as Bridges provided detailed instructions on tactics and manuals and advice about attacking the memorial Another target in New York City, he added, as we allege today, Bridges, a private in the U.S. Army, betrayed our country and his unit when he plotted with someone he believed was an ISIS sympathizer to help ISIS attack and kill United States soldiers in the Middle East, said William F. Sweeney Jr., head of New York City's FBI office. Fortunately, the person with whom he communicated was an FBI employee, and we were able to prevent his evil desires from coming to fruition, Sweeney said in a release. Our troops risked their lives for our country, but they should never face such peril at the hands of one of their own, U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss said. Bridges was scheduled to make an initial appearance in federal court in Augusta, Georgia on Thursday. It was not immediately clear who would represent him. According to a criminal complaint in Manhattan federal court, Bridges joined the U.S. Army in September 2019 and was assigned as a cavalry scout in Fort Stewart. At some point, he began researching and consuming online propaganda promoting jihadists and their violent ideology, authorities said. They said he expressed his support for the Islamic State group and jihad on social media before he began communicating in October with an FBI employee who posed as an Islamic State group supporter in contact with the group's fighters in the Middle East. According to court papers, he expressed his frustration with the U.S. military and his desire to aid the Islamic State group. The criminal complaint said he then provided training and guidance to purported Islamic State fighters who were planning attacks, including advice about potential targets in New York City, including 9 out of 11 memorial. It said he also provided portions of a U.S. Army training manual and guidance about military combat tactics. Bridges also diagrammed specific military maneuvers to help the terrorist group fighters kill United States troops, including the best way to fortify an encampment to repel an attack by United States Special Forces, and how to wire certain buildings with explosives to kill the U.S. troops, the complaint said. This month, according to the complaint, Bridges sent a video of himself in body armor standing before an Islamic State flag gesturing support. A week later, Bridges sent a second video in which he used a voice manipulator and narrated a propaganda speech in support of the Islamic State group's anticipated ambush of United States troops, the complaint said. In a statement on Tuesday, a spokesperson for the Fort Stewart-based 3rd Infantry Division, Lieutenant Colonel Lindsay Elder, confirmed that PFC Code James Bridges is assigned to the division. She said division commanders are cooperating fully with the FBI.
Credit to our international partners, People's Dispatch. If Edwards is here with sports.
Still watching the Pan African News live on Pan African TV. My name is Edwards. Now let's do some sports. Ghanaian forward Samuel Tete has joined Austrian side St. Pölten on loan after returning from New York Red Bulls, where he had a short spell. The pacey winger moves to Pölten from Salzburg, where his contract is with the club is expected to end in June 2020.
The 24-year-old previously had spells with LASK Lens and FC Liefering since leaving West African Football Academy in 2016. Tete has featured in 66 Austrian Bundesliga games, scoring 16 goals with 11 assists in the process, and will be with the Wolves until the end of the season. The forward will wear the number 99 jersey during his time at Pölten. Tete represented Ghana at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in New Zealand 2015 and was a member of the Black Stars team at the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations tournament.
From that, Morocco has been named as new host for 2022 Africa Women's Cup of Nations. The Confederation of African Football (CAF) has announced. This was after original host, the Democratic Republic of Congo, withdrew from hosting the tournament.
The African Women Cup of Nations tournament, which has been staged since 1998, was cancelled last year because of the coronavirus pandemic. According to reports, South Africa snubbed the opportunity to replace the Democratic Republic of Congo as emergency host in light of their bid for the 2023 Women's World Cup. This is the first time Morocco will be hosting the flagship women's competition on the continent. Omar Kayari, a senior advisor to the Royal Morocco Football Federation, says this ties in with the country's ambitious plans to develop the women's game. He also expressed joy and was honored to host the African Women's Cup in Morocco and indicated that first-class infrastructures will be available for the competition with the aim of having a high-quality soccer showpiece.
Now to some boxing news. Jesse Manuel Planch, aka Black Flash, has been voted as the best professional boxer of the year 2020 by Boxing Writers Association of Ghana.
He won the prestigious tag from contenders like WBO Super Bantamweight Global Champion Wasiru Jatabi Muhammad, highly rated 2 times former IBF World Champion Joseph Kinkon Abeko, former IBO Lightweight Champion Emmanuel Gameboy Tego, and former WBO Super Bantamweight Champion Isaac Royal Storm Dogbe, who made the top 5. Coach of the Year was shared by Carl Loco of the Bronze Gym and Latekwe Lati of the Fit Square Gym. Promoter of the Year went to box office headed by Mr. Alex Intiamwa, with Manager of the Year going to Mr. Ivan Bruce Kujo of Kabek Management fame for managing to organize the broadcast of the Boxing Day Rumble.
Of sport entertainment is next.
For the sports update. Now let's wrap up with some showbiz stories. As part of effort to adulate musicians for their contribution and impact within and outside Africa, Entertainment Desk has been profiling a couple of them. We take a look at the movie writer, producer and director Shirley Frimpong Manson.
Shirley Frimpong Manson, born 16 March 1977, is a Ghanaian film director, writer and producer. She is the founder and CEO of Sparrows Production, a film, television and advertising production company. She won Best Director at the South Africa Movie Academy Awards. Frimpong Manson is also a principal of Sparrow Station, a video streaming service for African entertainment from Sparrow and other African film producers. In 2013, she was ranked the 48th most influential person in Ghana according to ETV Ghana. Frimpong Manson is described as one who seeks to raise the standard of film production in Ghana and Africa by telling progressive African stories as seen through the eyes of Africans. Changing the way Ghana was portrayed also motivated her career choice. Her films are also known for their fierce female leads, as they portray African women with agency who can be breadwinners and lead complex lives. In December 2019, her movie Potato Potato started streaming on Netflix. Frimpong Manson is from Kwewu Pipiase, the eastern region of Ghana. As a child, she organized plays which felt a lot more fun than playing with sand and dolls. She graduated in 2000 from the popularly known as NAFTI in Ghana National Film and Institute Television, and worked as a presenter at Radio Gold, a private station in Accra, and then went on to start Sparrow Productions in 2003. Her husband and business partner is Ken Atto, and they have a child together. She produced and directed such as A Sting in a Tail, Contract, Adam's Apple, Stranger in My Bed, Perfect Picture, Checkmate, and many more. Shelley has won awards across Africa. She has an award from the 6th Africa Movie Academy Award, 18th Annual Pan-African Film and Arts Festival, and the 2014 African Magic Viewers' Choice Awards.
That's all for Pan-African News. Before we go, a recap of our headlines. 2020 election petition adjourned. Mahana's 12 interrogatories are mere application, lawyer Fatao. Ghanaians react to new ministerial appointment. And in business, FDA tightens measures to prevent importation of unregistered goods. On an international front, USA soldier arrested in plot to blow up NYC 9/11 memorial. A big thanks to our 46 African countries who did the watching and those of you in Europe. For more news, do join us this evening at 7 p.m. My name is Ivy Abena. Enjoy the rest of our programs.